Okay, guys, very welcome back to the show. And I've got a special guest today and a man from Ireland, which I don't have normally on the podcast, but he's here today to talk about his new book. And here we got a little glimpse of it here, The Greatest Show on Earth by Kenny Noble. So, Kenny, pleasure to have you on today, man. But let's rewind before we get into the book, like, because you're obviously big in the media scene here with N-Tunes, Owen Colgan, Steel Panther, all that kind of stuff. So, do you want to just talk to me about how you got into this world, I suppose, and how small it is?
Yeah, small is an understatement. That's for sure. Look, you know as well as anybody else, Mars. Like, when going into the media business, especially over in Ireland, it's such a niche area, And to try and make a name for yourself over here it's almost, you think for such a small island it would be quite easy, but it's really not. It's such a difficult business. And from my own personal experience, I suppose I've delved into a few little different things from the animation side of things, working with Steel Panther, like you said yourself. Owen Colgan, which was amazing. That was a great experience on the little mini series that we done with Bootleg Jesus a few years ago, which started up a bit of a shitstorm. But that's a different story for a different day, I guess. Um, but I suppose always in the back of my mind, I love doing the animation. I studied it in college, done all that kind of stuff. I'm happy I did it, but that chapter is over for now, at least, anyway. And always in the back of my mind, I wanted to mix two mediums together, writing and art. They're my two favorite things in the world. Okay, and I suppose from my point of view, what I wanted to do was trying to connect the dots. But for years and years, one thing I suppose any writer will tell you is to try and come up with a concept, come up with an idea, come up with something that is personal to you, but other people can relate to at the same time. And that was very, very difficult. So from my point of view, it was kind of trying to mash that together and come up with something that I thought, or I still think, will be a really cool product. And that's where the Great Show on Earth came from. It's been years. Trust me when I tell you, this has been years in the making, and you'll understand why in a few moments when we kind of get into it. But yeah, look, it's a product now. I think it's heading towards a different tangent from my own point of view, going away from the animation into more publishing side of things instead. And look, I think I'm hoping, at least anyway, that this will be the one that kind of takes it up a little bit more of a higher level. I hope. I hope.
I'm sure it will. We have to talk about Steel Panther before we kick into this thing. I'm actually I've been trying to get the guys on for quite a while. I have been in touch with agents and people like that, but it's very difficult. Like, I was meant to have Chris Jericho twice on this show in like last year, the year before, and these agent people, they always seem to let you down. Like, if you're in direct contact with someone, it's so much easier. And I do have his phone number, but I'm not fucking texting him. No way, I'll fly off the handle. But what I was going to say, how did you get in contact with Steel Panther? How did that project come about?
Ah, do you know what? It was kind of fortuitous, and a lot of what I believe in serendipity a lot, and everything is supposed to kind of connect dots and happen for a reason. And I think about a year, a little bit longer than a year before we hooked up to work together. I was working on a comic book. It's a double part comic book called Wasp Dude, and halfway through illustrating the book, I was getting a little bit frustrated, I suppose, a little bit bored, and it was just not working really well for me. I said, right, what am I going to do? I'm just going to mess around in the studio. I'm going to create some sort of animation just for me. It's not going to go anywhere. It's just going to be for me, just to kind of clear the cobwebs a little bit. And what I done was there was a music video, or not, sorry, there was a song on one of their albums called Balls Out, and the name of the song was just like Tiger Woods. And I love that song. I think it's amazing. And how there's never been an official music video for it, I've absolutely no idea. But anyway, that's a different story.
Legal
So what I
reason.
decided, yeah, what I decided to do, I said, listen, you know what we'll do? I'm going to make an animated video, fan made animated video. It's not going to go anywhere, but it's just going to be a fan made animated video. I don't really know how they got hold of this video. I really don't, because it was even blocked on YouTube as well. The audio was blocked on YouTube, and it never really done anything. But
VPN.
they loved it. And yeah, they loved it, and they thought it was fantastic. And it was, look, for me, I made it in about 3 or 4 days. To me, it was awful. But anyway, look, it was just, like I said, just to clear the cobwebs. So fast forward then about a year later, and they were playing in, was it the Academy? I think it was, they were due to play. It was the first
Yeah.
first Irish gig. I believe it was in the Academy. And
Yeah,
I was
Yammer,
watching
you
it
could
for
not
4 weeks.
move in there. You could not
You
move
could. It
in
was
there
like a
now.
can of sardines. It really was. It was amazing. Um, so at this moment in time, I was juggling a few different ideas. I was reaching out to different people to do voiceover work and this, that, and the other. And my partner Rosie, she was kind of like my producer as well at the same time. And I just said to her, like, do you know what? Could you reach out to me and just see what happens, just for the crack? Now, this is where I'm going back to like the serendipitous kind of side of things, and things meant to happen for a reason. This is how easy it was, and I remember listening to actually an interview with them on Sirius XM over in the States. Michael Starr was doing the interview, and he literally he was asked the same question: how did this happen? And it was so easy. There was no mad elaborate story. We reached
Mm.
out. We said, listen, we done the Just Like Tiger Woods fan video. We'd love to do another video for you, an official video for you. What do you think? And straight away, yeah, sounds like a cool idea. We'll reach out to our agents, Jason Leckberg, and he'll be in contact with you and get things sorted. So a few weeks had gone by, and then I got an email from Jason Leckberg saying, listen, this is the song we want. Let's do it. So it's like, grand. That was really it. They'd given me about little over 4 weeks to make this video. Now, in animation terms, that's not very long, especially when most of it's on pre-production as well. And luckily enough, I was able to utilize the college I used to study in, and I grabbed a couple of students there as work experience, if you like, and brought them on board to do some like background work and drawings and stuff like that, and this, that, and the other. So kind of sped the process up a little bit. But yeah, that was it. They gave me 4 weeks. They wanted a South Park-esque, very simple, very straightforward music video, and that's what they got. And it was amazing. I got to meet them then backstage at the gig, and lovely guys. They're like, you see their characters on stage, and then you actually talk to them like, they're two different personas, and they're really, really cool guys. Like, and yeah, well, that's how the Steel Panther thing came about. It was good timing. They did room for one more single. I approached them, or my partner approached them at the same time, and everything just came together so nicely. So yeah, it was a nice. It's something that I'm very proud of because Steel Panther, one of my favorite bands in the world. So to get to work with them was kind of cool. I love that.
And in fairness, it's one of their least explicit videos on YouTube as well.
That one won't be bad. Well, there is that side of things as well, and I kind of tried to keep it as PG as I possibly could. But it's Steel Panther; it's kind of hard as well. But again, even the song is quite PG, to be fair, in comparatively speaking, at least anyway. But it's a great song. It's one of my favorite albums as well. So it was really cool to have some little fragment, a little fraction of something to do with it.
Exactly. And you mentioned the guys on stage, off stage, totally different. We're going to talk about this business now, the wrestling business, and we're going to bring it into the book. And we're going to talk firstly about like your fond memories of watching wrestling as a young man, how you became engrossed in the world of wrestling.
So a lot of it obviously is outlined in the book, especially into the introduction. But I kind of fell into wrestling. How would you say? I wouldn't say inadvertently, but not far off it at the same time. You often heard the name Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, Superfly, Jimmy Snuka, Ultimate Warrior. These names were synonymous. People understood who those names were without actually knowing who they actually were. But I always found, especially the Hulk Hogans of the world, very intriguing. I was like, who is this Hulk Hogan? I want to know more about this Hulk. Of course, this is back in a time when there's no internet. So, trying to find these things were quite difficult. And I was only about 8 turning 9 at this stage, right? Now, we didn't have the fancy channels back then, so we didn't have the Sky Sports of the world. We'd have no access to WWF, or as it was known back then, I guess. But what we did have access to was WCW wrestling. So I said, right, this is my introduction to wrestling. Yeah, and that's exactly. And well, actually, was it back then? It was on ITV Thursday nights at around 2 a.m., give or take. And we used to watch it. Now, what happened was my father used to always be staying up late, and it was fantastic. But every so often, I'd sneak up to try and watch a bit of telly late, on school night, and he'd be giving out to me, get back to bed, all this kind of stuff. But I noticed every Thursday he was watching this thing called wrestling. I was like, right, I need to get a go at this and see what it is. And the first couple of weeks, he tried to hunt me out to say, it's a school night, get to bed, blah, blah, blah. Eventually, he caved, and I got to watch WCW wrestling at God knows what time in the morning on a school night, which is, listen, it was fantastic. And I got into wrestling that way. And of course, you know, people like Sting, Luger were there. Tom Zenk actually was one of my favorite wrestlers, God love him, at the time. And people like that, I loved it, absolutely loved it, and fell in love. But still, it wasn't enough. Hulk Hogan was still the guy, and I need to know more with this Hulk Hogan. So we went into, we had this membership in a video store in Thurles called Video World. Best video store of all time. Band videos, you name it, they had everything. It was amazing. But they had this fantastic wrestling section over in the right-hand corner as you walked in beside the counter. And there she was, right in the middle, Hulk Hogan's Real American. I said, right, that's it. That's the one. Brought it home, and I was in love straight away. So Hulk Hogan was my idol, my hero. He still is to this day. Like, I absolutely love the man. Basically, he was the reason I got into professional wrestling in the first place. But of course, WrestleMania then was a different kettle of fish, wasn't it? You know, knew nothing about it. Nothing about it. It's just another wrestling video that was available to myself. Knew nothing about it, but I picked up WrestleMania 4, which was the reason I picked it up. It was a double cassette. It was huge and it looked class. And of course, Hogan was on the front cover as well. So I said, well, I'll have a bit of that. And I rented it out. Morrison, that was it. To the point we used to rent out the video for a week. And every day after school, when I'd come home, I'd go into the kitchen. That's where the VCR was. Stick in the tape, watch it from start to finish. It was so bad, I knew the commentary off by heart for all 4 hours, all the way through. That's how bad it was. And then, you know, from that point onwards, you go back, you get the WrestleMania 6, you get the WrestleMania 2. It was all jumbled up for it at the start. But yeah, that was me. I was done. It wasn't just pro wrestling, but it was the mystique around WrestleMania had me sold straight away. You know, and yeah, it's you know as well as anybody else, Mars. I mean, you're a wrestling fan. Hell, you've been to WrestleMania. You know the mystique around it. So as you can imagine, as a little kid, you knew, all these guys were to you as a 9-year-old kid were real life superheroes. Like real superheroes, not made up superheroes, real superheroes. And remember, we're talking back then about kayfabe and all this kind of stuff. This was all, you know what I mean? This Hulk Hogan was an actual superhero to the point I thought he could beat the Incredible Hulk. That's how naive I was. But anyway, look, that was just as a small kid. Well, yeah, WrestleMania had me.
Sorry, my first introduction to it was I'm a little bit younger than you. I don't know how much younger I am, but like my first introduction was like through Cartoon Network turning into TNT to watch WCW. That was my kind of Rey Mysterio losing his mask, winning the world title, big show. NWO were there at the time. But then when I switched and we got Sky Sports and I went to WWF, I didn't turn back, you know?
No.
Even when all that stuff was going on.
And like you're talking about a time as well, like, you know, you're talking kind of coming into kind of like the Monday Night Wars kind of territory, in which, look, in wrestling terms, leading into the Attitude Era, arguably the best time to be a wrestling fan, to be fair. For me though, like when I'm on the WWE network now, I'm reversing back to the WrestleMania 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to maybe 7, maybe 8. Did start to take a little bit of a turn because obviously there was changes coming in, wrestlers were changing. It wasn't the same familiar faces. But those ones certainly were the ones for me. Like, I mean, you know, you look at some of the moments of those particular first 6, 7 WrestleManias, and of course the one that probably stands out most to anybody's mind was the Ultimate Challenge at WrestleMania 6. I mean, look, that was just at the time an unheard of event, you know, and it was just one of those things that, you know, if you're a wrestling fan, it's very like being a football fan back in the 80s or 90s. You're either a Liverpool fan or a Man United fan. Similar to wrestling terms, you're either a Hogan fan or a Warrior fan. There was no in between. Do you know what I mean? And like, obviously I was a Hogan fan. It was title versus title. It was good guy versus good guy, which was also unheard of. It just really broke the mold at that WrestleMania. Of course, I was in tears after it with the result. But anyway, that was a different kettle of fish. But yeah, look, it's WrestleMania for me is it's very hard to kind of put into words what it means to me. But, you know, I think obviously from the book, I was able to kind of shed a lot more of my own personal stories growing up, you know, watching WrestleMania, how I watched it, where I watched it, what was going through, you know, the matches, everything. And you'll see in the book yourselves, like it's a very personal kind of an account. It's not a book that's just there for facts and figures, because I just think that's rubbish, to be honest with you.
They're all out there anyway.
They're all out there anyway. And I suppose from my point of view, when I was creating the book, I spent about the first 2 or 3 months just doing research. And the research I was trying to do, I suppose, is to figure out, is there something like what I'm trying to achieve out there already? And Google search after Google search, and that evolved into different variations of Google searches and God knows what. I couldn't find anything that I had done that was already out there. Couldn't find it anywhere. Google searches, Amazon, anywhere, it doesn't matter. Couldn't find it. So it was from that point onwards, right, look, I started the book at this stage. It's going to happen. I'm going to do this, But, it's a very personal account, but I think it's very relatable account for wrestling fans as well. I think that's what.
Yeah, if you were to give someone a synopsis of exactly what the book is, what would it be?
Yeah, kind of just that. Just a synopsis of the book is looking through WrestleMania, or looking at WrestleMania through the eyes of a fan, essentially. Now, I wanted to make it a little bit more personal than that as well, not just through the eyes of myself and what I perceived as being a fantastic show, but I also want to incorporate my artistic side as well, right? So, again, me, Mars. Like, one of the things I'm very kind of into is my art and drawing and this, that, and the other. And one of the things when I was making this book, it was never going to happen if I was just going to take stock images from online and post them into the book. For me, it's just lazy, and it's been done. Yeah, it's been done to death, and I just thought, no, it can't happen. So I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand draw every single image. Every single image can be hand drawn using various different mediums, from pen and ink, charcoal, pencil, whatever I needed to create the image itself. And I was going to pick out certain moments, specific moments from each WrestleMania, and draw them and talk about them. That's essentially what the book is. It took 3 years to do it. Look, you'll see yourself, those drawings they're not done in 10 minutes. So it's just one of those things where I needed to take my time in it. I didn't want it to be rushed. I wanted it to be absolutely perfect. And even with the writing, there was writes and rewrites and corrections and this, that, and the other, until we got it absolutely perfect. But yeah, essentially, I suppose the easiest way to summarize, it's WrestleMania through the eyes of a fan.
Yeah. And of course, like, there is a few Irish elements in there. Like, how much do the Irish people on this island feature in the book as well? Because, as I always say to people in the US, for a country so small, like, we produce some serious athletes in every sense of the world.
Yeah, we've done all right. Look, the obvious one, and I think you might have shown it there a few moments ago, was Becky Two Belts, wasn't it? That was to put that into context is very hard, because it's not just one of her own becoming very successful, right? Not only just beating Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey, but the main event at WrestleMania, never been done before by female athletes, which I think is ridiculous. But look, it is, unfortunately, a stat. That was huge, and the story that led into that WrestleMania that year, all the way from Becky, getting her nose smashed in by Nia Jax, the whole Survivor Series thing, the Royal Rumble, everything leading into that WrestleMania was special. But the main event, the biggest show on the planet, and she was one of her own. There's no way to put that into words how big of an achievement that was.
Do you know what the only sad thing about that was? Like, the media over here, they don't give a fuck, really. About
seen it nowhere. We've seen it nowhere. And even if you wind back a few years ago, Sheamus winning the World Heavyweight Championship in record time against Daniel Bryan, I mean, that was a big deal as well. It didn't really help Sheamus with the fans at the time, but it was still a huge achievement as well. It's one of those unfortunate things, because wrestling is a niche area. It is a niche area. I don't think there's too many casual wrestling fans out there. You're either invested or you're not. Like,
yeah. At the same time, like, I see these guys on the biggest talk shows in America with people like Conan O'Brien and massive people like that. I know Sheamus was on the Late Late Show maybe 7-8 years ago for about 15-20 minutes, but I just think they should get more recognition over here. But that's just my opinion on it,
It could, like, look, at the end of the day, look, wrestling, or especially in the WWE's, it's like it's a worldwide phenomenon. You look at it's no kind of coincidence when they're going into a place like Riyadh, over in Saudi, and you see how big an event, like, that's a WrestleMania style event when they go over there. It's a worldwide phenomenon, and these people are athletes at the highest level. That's the reality of this. Okay, you can say what you want about wrestling being, the F word, which I can't even say, and you can say what you like. At the end of the day, they're athletes, and, like, there's not many people that can do what they do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And from my point of view, I think I'm going back into the late '80s, going into the early '90s when I kicked into it first. So it was a little bit different back then. But yeah, look, I mean, it's a big deal, and it's a pity because, look, what Becky has done and what she's still doing is not short of remarkable. It really isn't. So she definitely got her a full piece in that book, and she deserved it because she's earned it. And people like Charlotte Flair have taken massive write-ups in my book as well, because what she's done over WrestleMania has been absolutely amazing as well. So, and Bianca, she's in there. So there is a lot of great moments in the book. It was very hard to pick out the big moments, though. That was the hardest part, because you know as well as anybody, you don't want to dilute the book too much. You can only pick out certain aspects and certain big moments itself. So that was the hardest part, to filter it down. Now, I was reaching out to some of my buddies who are wrestling fans as well, just to get their opinion. What's your favorite moment? Show me an image of a moment that you thought was huge. And there was one or two I was like, Jesus, I forgot about that. That has to go in. But yeah, that was the hardest part. But look, it was all worth it. It was all worth it.
Can you guess my favorite WrestleMania? So my first WrestleMania that I seen was WrestleMania 14. Royal Rumble 98 led into that. So that was 1998. I was 10 at the time. So that's my first WrestleMania. Obviously, I've seen every one since then, and I've looked back at the old ones as well. But obviously, watching them live doesn't compare, in my opinion, to watching them back. So can you guess what mine is? And it's not the obvious answer.
Well, the obvious answer is the one that you were actually at itself, I guess. But it's very subjective, because everybody has their own. It's like your favorite band. Every so often you'll say, "Well, that's my favorite song." No, wait a minute, no, that's my favorite album. And it kind of flip flops a little bit. If I was going to take a stab at it, God, that's a hard question.
It's actually not the one I was at, because I did obviously love the one I was at, but I'm still of the opinion that I'd rather it to be one night, and that just kind of takes it away a little bit for me. So 100%. It's not 17, and it's not the one I was at.
Right, I'm going to take a stab at this one because there was two pretty cool matches on it, and I'm going to say WrestleMania 28, but I'm probably wrong.
WrestleMania 19.
19. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Rock Austin, Hogan and McMahon, Lesnar and Angle, Shawn Michaels against Chris Jericho. What else was at that? Triple H, Booker T, which wasn't very good. And there was another big match at that as well. I just can't think off the top of my head. And Limp Bizkit played at my favorite band.
And Limp Bizkit played at that. Yeah. Funnily enough, actually, in the book itself, there's a tiny little thumbnail out, so small, but I really wanted to put it in. It's one you mentioned there a moment ago with Lesnar and Kurt Angle, and the famous botched shooting star press that nearly broke his neck and killed him. I drew a picture of him just as he's landing on his neck. With Kurt Angle just kind of lying on the floor, but I used it as a little thumbnail on the bottom of one of the pages rather than actually a full page press will say. But yeah, it's WrestleMania 19 that was a star-studded show. There was no doubt about that. I suppose the reason why I picked 28 is because we had two very memorable matches that year, as you know yourself, with the Undertaker and of course Rock and Cena as well. So that was probably one that would be memorable to myself, and they feature in the book as well. But I mean, look, you could pick them. Look, for me, I could say, well, for me, WrestleMania 4, for obvious reasons, it was my introduction to WrestleMania, and it was the tournament as well, which was class. But there's other reasons why I would pick other WrestleManias instead. Do you know what I mean? What meant more to me?
Yeah, most people pick 17, and that's fair enough as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, 17 was a great event. Look, even you look at WrestleMania 18. I mean, that was, for obvious reasons as well. Yeah, I mean, look, there's moments like I said, and that's why I was going back to. It's so difficult to pick out just certain moments from each WrestleMania because you just highlighted 4 or 5 from WrestleMania 19 alone that we
Yeah.
could pick from all of them. Do you know what I mean? And
Is
that's
it
why it was so difficult.
is it just me now, or like I'm looking at things this year and I'm looking at that card, man, and I'm just kind of like, this is seriously lacking compared to a normal WrestleMania. That's my opinion because we were kind of hyped up with, will Steve
Yeah,
Austin be back again? Will The Rock face
yeah,
Roman? And then I see this Lesnar and almost take it. I'm like, oh God, no, get me away from it. So
I know. Do you know? Funny enough, I was thinking that myself. The card itself isn't bad. The card
mm,
itself is actually not bad, and especially when you have Stand and Deliver leading into it as well. The card all the way through is actually quite good. The build has been a little bit flat, and I think
yeah,
that's the reason. And you're quite right, like you say about Austin. I mean, that was a massive deal anyway. But even the main event with Reigns and Lesnar, it was an amazing. Like I thought, WrestleMania 38 pound for pound, and I agree with you as well about the 2 night thing as well. I think it
yeah,
dilutes it a little bit. I think it's
yeah,
more of a kind of a participation award now more than anything else for a lot of people, whereas it should be just the cream of the crop at the same
yeah,
time. I do feel, however, this WrestleMania they've started to tweak things a little bit in terms of, okay, well, now we're not going to hand out participation trophies. We're going to have dedicated matches. Now the build has been pretty poor to a certain degree,
yeah,
but it's still, you're looking at the card right now and say, well, they deserve to be on it. They deserve to be on it. Last year I could pick out maybe 3 or 4 matches in theory that probably shouldn't have been on it. They worked
yeah,
out to be very good matches, but at the same time, you're thinking, why are they even there? You know,
yeah.
but
And our
it's hard to tell because usually when you get to a WrestleMania like that, you have no expectations. It ends up being, pretty good event. So that's hopefully.
And our boy Finn has got a big match as well, which I'm very happy about now. I don't
Yes.
want to see him. I don't want to see him coming out as Finn Balor, and that's all I'll say on that one.
No,
He
well, I mean,
deserves it.
I don't want to give any. Well, actually, by the time this goes out, there'll be no more spoilers. But look, you've seen Monday Night Raw yourself.
Yeah,
The suggestion is there, isn't it? It's there.
yeah.
So it does look, and I think it should happen
That'd
because
be an
look, it's
epic
WrestleMania.
moment.
It would be an epic moment. Look, Edge and Finn Balor is, for me, one of the matches of the card and one of the matches of the night because I think they'll work well together. Similar to last year with Edge and AJ Styles, I think they'll naturally work well together. And I think the build has been quite good for that particular match because obviously it's been going on for the last 12 months.
Yeah,
So yeah, look, it's going to be an interesting WrestleMania. I'm really excited for it. I really am because I think there's a lot of really good matches. I'm just very happy that I'm getting the book out now, so I don't have to write another bloody chapter. So the timing was quite good for that one. It got me out of a fix there. But yeah, no,
chapter
I'm excited.
chapter 2 is going to start in April. But look, in terms of the book, obviously you've got physical copies today, and
Yeah,
we are going to put the links underneath this video where people can purchase them.
yeah.
Is there going to be like a Kindle version of this book also, or is that something you've thought about?
You know what? I definitely thought about it because there's a few pre-orders gone in for the book already through my social media platforms and the likes, and that has come up with the Amazon Kindle. So look, I mean, I'm not going to say no, but it's not planned as of yet. It's the route to market that I'm hoping at the moment will obviously through the online store, some obviously physical bookshops as well, leading bookshops as well. So yeah, I haven't really gone through the digital side of things yet. It's something I haven't really planned on too much because I'm old school myself, Morris. I like physical
I know.
myself. I buy physical. I buy my music. I have a Spotify account, but I buy my music physically.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm just a bit naive at that, but listen, it is what it is. I like physical. But you're right. I have a stack of books in my office, and I'm looking at them every day and thinking, the last day or two, I'm thinking, oh man, this is real. It's happening now. After 3 years, hard graft, hard work, it's now finally real and it's going to happen now. It's there. So it's sitting right there in front of me, in fact, and it's going to happen. So I'm excited because we've got some fantastic conventions coming up in the next while. There's one in Enniscorthy now on the 16th of April. It's the Cosmic Rebels con. I've done it last year as well. It's a brilliant convention. It's a guy called Ed Doyle runs it. up in Enniscorthy. It's one of the biggest kind of independent run cons of the year, and so I'll have a desk at that as well. So anyone wants to buy a physical copy can just, they can hop along down to the event, and it's a free event, no charge on the door either. So you just walk straight in and enjoy it. It's gonna be class. I'm really looking forward. It was massive last year. Big crowds, great cosplayers, great crack. There's something for everybody there. And now there's a stall for wrestling fans as well, which is even better still. That was the plan. We forced them into wrestling yet, Morris. We really will.
Yeah.
But,
look, man,
no, happy.
It was absolute pleasure to talk to you today, man. And like, for anyone looking for more information on the book, we will have it underneath this video. Anyone that needs to contact me, I can contact Kenny for you. And best of luck with everything, man. And I look forward to the second book.
I appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Cheers, man.